Welcome back to the Good Questions podcast. My guest today is Adarian Barr, someone who I've had the pleasure of learning under and learning from for the last few years, and has really helped me make sense of, some fallacies, I think, of the fitness industry that we're going to get into, some of the issues in the way that people go about training in general, especially for athletics. And I have a lot of respect for what he's done, the educational information he's put out, the inventions that he's made. It's been really cool to spend some time with him and then get some training from him. And I highly recommend, if you're someone who's looking to improve their speed in any kind of way, improve their athletic performance, that you check out his work. Rethinking Biomechanics is his Instagram handle. It's also a name of one of his websites. He has another website called Dyad Body, DYAD, body.com. Both of those have a lot of different educational resources on them, and they're worth checking out. As evidenced by the fact that the second episode is coming out a couple months after the first. This isn't going to be a super consistently posted podcast. Just whenever I have the time and it works out to get an interview in with, again, either one of my mentors, or honestly, I've got some friends that I think I want to just have on as well. People that aren't necessarily known all that much in the world of fitness or whatever, but work in it or have interesting context to their own journey that I think would be cool to have. So we'll see what this podcast turns into. It's just kind of a little passion project for me, and again, a chance to connect with people and share some insights during the process. So yeah, stay tuned for more. My first episode with Nate, go check that out if you haven't already, and we'll have more for you soonish. We didn't really do a proper intro in the podcast, so you're just going to jump into my conversation with Adarian. Enjoy.
What I found out is this here, people don't, like I tell people, if you do what I do, you got to give up something. Just that simple. It's just that simple. Just like I posted this morning on femur rotation. Somebody says, actually about internal external rotation. Once again, you're already in the wrong ballpark. If you're trying to figure out internal external, and they said it's sufficient. If is internal external is sufficient? I'm thinking, like, what's sufficient internal external rotation? Like, that's a whole different conversation, a whole different topic. So I already figured out that for the most part, people don't want to really invest. Because they invest in whatever they know already.
Yes, I think that's what drew me so much to your work, is that I just didn't understand it. It just did not fit the models that I had. And, for me, that's I don't get defensive about my thing. I then get interested in the other thing, right, which apparently is rare. Apparently is not the normal, which is messed up in its own way. But yeah, the femur rotation piece, which is a good place to start. It's the simplest thing, right? It's literally just, if this is your femur and you're moving that way, you want the femur rotation
right
to be a large, the majority of your locomotive effort is just going into that.
Right.
There can be all this nuance in the shin angle and what the foot's doing and what the upper body's doing. Would you say that those are almost more steering mechanisms, or they set up the femur to be able to do its thing?
Well, the first thing is you have to say, okay, just like people talk about force application. And the whole issue is that they're so stuck on applying force to the ground. But if you truly try to apply force to the ground, you get stuck. You won't move because the ground ain't moving. And we got joints. So it's not like that's the biggest thing people miss out on, is we have joints. And so we have to manipulate the joints to get the things we want, which is why, when people say the shin angle is the direction of the force being applied, and no, it's not. It's not. It's kind of like the same thing if you have a bow and arrow, where it's like, if it goes here, I still can use the femur to do something. I'm not strictly stuck at leaving the ground at 45, 75. I'm not stuck at that, but it becomes a launch pad. And then I'm going to take the angle of this launch pad and add this other launch pad to it, So it's kind of like one of those things where people black out, don't understand joints, and that we have joints. And you have to factor in joints, And so once you get that, then you go, okay, just like with the femur, there's two types of shin angle changes. There's one at the ankle, there's one at the MTP joint. you know. And so if you're coming out of blocks, you want to get through the ankle one as soon as possible. And then that leaves you with the MTP joint. Then that one goes, then you can go, or you might just go straight to the MTP joint one, get it over with, and then move to the. So you have to see things like that. So you have to understand, like, I need this joint, and so I can do, so this joint can do something. And that's what people are missing out on. I need this joint and this joint, so this joint can do something. The sequence of it and stuff like that. So it's not that they're primers or anything like that. It's just the, once again, what joints do I need to lock up so this thing can move?
Yes, it's not all about all the joints moving through their whole range the whole time or anything
Right,
like that.
right, right, right,
And
right,
that's
right,
I think
right,
that's the biggest limitation in traditional physiotherapy and a lot of just like the training circles is that range is much more emphasized than timing and sequence.
right,
And there's just not nearly as much of a emphasis on just like, okay, what range do you have? How do you use this well? And
right,
again, what are the timings? When do you not want to allow range in order to allow more range at another thing?
right,
And
right, right.
that's something that your book that we'll plug here. What was the name of that book again? I'm blanking on it.
Let me introduce you. Tales of
Let me
Leverage
introduce you.
Move.
That's right.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh,
So, well, that's even like this here, just like even this here. If you jumped off a 12-foot wall, you need to eat up as much range as possible, not to hurt yourself.
yeah, you need a big crumple.
Yeah, I need a big crumple. I need a big crumple. Now, if you jump off a 1-foot wall, you don't need all that anymore. So why would you go through all that? Doesn't. And if you jump off a 12-foot wall, why would you want to stop? You don't want to see, and that's what people are missing out on. That there is no one thing. I know, based on what's happening, I'm gonna do this one, or I'm gonna need this one. Even when people talk about walking, and I see what a lot of times with walking, they say they heel rose up too soon. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. You should have been on to the next. Instead of saying the heel rose up too soon, ask yourself why you're not on to the next step.
It's because they're chasing stride length, right? The idea is like how long can I stay attached to the ground and even
Right,
have my heel down before it comes up, and I should be able to take this big long step. And because I've covered so
right,
much distance, it's efficient. Uh,
right.
but that again, another thing that like working through some of the gait drills we worked on, especially when I came down to see you and I was still rehabbing my Achilles, just like focusing on those short, choppy
Yeah,
but quick, like pretty like I feel a lot of engagement, a lot of load through my tendons, and doing that has done so much more for me than trying to like stretch out every step.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that brings us back to the original question. Of like we always try to tell people, why do I want this femur to move me in the first place versus push the ground? Why do I want this to happen in the first place? And so that becomes the other part. Like, it's the thing that's going to make you move. It's the thing when people talk about projection, propulsion, it's it. You know. Now, once again, when we're talking about really, and that's what we say in the running videos. I think I just posted those. I like the one I posted today with Jerry Rice and the other guy. And Jerry Rice has a femur, the other guy doesn't, and he's leaving him. And Jerry Rice is 42 at that time, so he ain't as fast as anymore. But he's still leaving this dude behind. Why? Because all I need is this thing just to pop me, pop me, pop me, and you can't keep up with me.
No, you see how the guy tries. It is like more of that kind of forceful knee pushing back in order to still rotate the femur, even though the top of the femur isn't the thing
Right,
driving the torso. Then there's a
right,
lot of like there's lurching with the upper body
right, right,
when like
right,
he doesn't have a chance to get the ball, but you need to save face and it looked like
right.
you're trying. This big like spinal lurch, but he just
Yeah,
didn't get that transfer through the femur, and that's why he's behind.
right, right. And the other part, watching the World Cup and even that there, because I always tell people the femur part is the acceleration part. It's also the deceleration part. Because if I don't want to go any place in a hurry, don't move it. Basketball players are good at that. You see when they're trying to navigate, the femur ain't doing a whole lot. Then all of a sudden they're gonna blow by you. See the femur comes back to engage. So you don't have to do anything. Just understand this is the thing that's gonna make me go or not go.
Yeah,
So
and that's like what deceleration in basketball. Like I played some full court ball for the first time in a long time last week, and that one man, such a different like geometry of a game than like playing half court.
Yeah,
So that'll take me a little bit to get used to. But just like, having to get up to speed, and then so much of the skill, and I want to like transition a little bit the conversation to like how playing a sport like this just kind of trumps anything you could do in the gym. I can't
yeah,
really replicate these forces or get used to the tasks of having to
right,
like, go into a full sprint and then slow down and turn around, or slow down enough to then catch the ball and then like take my momentum from horizontal to vertical, or whatever, right? But so much of like
right.
acceleration is being able to sit back, and
Yeah,
there's not like, you do have to apply some kind of braking force, I guess, but so much of it is in your body position that kind of sets the brake for you.
right. Because the whole thing about it is and that's what about levers and everything. Where is the weight at according to the fulcrum? So if the fulcrum is the MTP joint and your weight sitting way over here, guess what? You ain't going nowhere. Versus if this is the MTP joint and your weight's way in front of it, guess what? It's easier to move.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the beauty of watching World Cup. Watch even like in kicking. When they kick, they set back. And that sitting back makes the other leg, and that's what we keep trying to tell people. The femur of one leg makes the other leg do its thing. So when you go through this process of like I'm going down the court and I'm running, or even I think I posted one of the football player on Instagram today too, where you see once is he's trying to navigate the hole, he stopped the femur, doesn't do anything. Feet still move, he's still moving, but he slows down tremendously. Next thing you know, femur goes, he shoots the gap.
Yep. Yeah, and so much of that just like uh, the traditional gym exercises of like squatting,
Yeah,
hinging, especially like the way that we load the ankles, and we think, okay, we got to have our ankles nice and strong. We're going to absorb all this like 5 times body weight or whatever.
right.
They're just like, it's not replicating the timing needed in those kinds of contexts, like the fact that there's any kind of forward momentum that you have to deal with.
Yeah,
It's difficult to make a gym exercise in like this stationary like 6x6 block of space that you
yeah,
have translate
yeah,
to that. I think like that's something that you've done well, is being able to in like pretty small ranges of motion in a pretty small space still find kind of these sequences and timing, and I guess like that's how you use the gym, even though you're not necessarily training for sport. You try to
right.
use the gym in a way that it shows up when you go play tennis, it shows up when you play
Right,
basketball,
right, right,
whatever.
right, right, right,
And you're
right, right.
60, which
Yeah.
is, we were talking about that a couple months ago. Like somebody posted something about like freedom is being able to run on the beach in your 30s or whatever. And you're talking about how you're still triple jumping in your 40s.
Yeah,
And again, like
yeah, yeah.
compared to
Well,
most people I see your age, you're still jumping. You're still like chasing explosive movements.
right, right,
You,
right, right.
it seems like what you do in the gym does help you maintain that. Would you say?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Is like I said, it's I go to the gym and I don't want to learn a new movement pattern. I want to do the movement pattern I've been doing, and I think that's where people get things off in the gym, where like we talk about, if you go to the gym and all of a sudden you start pulling the tibia back towards you to stand up, well, guess what's gonna happen when you go run? You're gonna pull the tibia back instead of letting the femur, it's same. So for me, it's like this is the movement I'm looking for. I'm gonna stick it through everything I do out here. Now I'm getting these reps in, these reps in, these reps in. And so now, because I get the reps and the reps in and get out here, okay, cool. Because you talk about capacity. What do you think I'm doing over here? I'm building capacity. So when I go out here, I got the capacity because yeah. So I think that becomes a lot of it too, is to understand that movement, that timing, that sequence. And you'll see me when I squat, the sequence is the same, where a lot of people squat by pushing their heels down, which push the knee down, which push the tibias down. You know, I'm gonna squat because I'm gonna move the tibia in position first. And then once I move the tibia in position, then I can pitch the femur backwards and sit backwards into this thing. So it's still a squat, but it's not the same squat they were doing. And then I'm gonna come out of it. So now when I get in blocks, you did the same setup. Set the tibia, sit back, and now come out in reverse. It's the same pattern.
Yeah. But ironically, if somebody were to look at, the variety of exercises you do in a month,
Right.
they might say you're doing a different exercise every single time.
Right. And I'm really not.
It's the same, yeah, it's the
Really,
same patterns over and over again.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you still find a way to find like variability in it, right? Like you haven't just settled on like three exercises and you only do those three exercises.
Right. Well, you want, the whole thing about it is this here. Just like, because there's variability in what we do already. So just like I may take a squat, I think I did the other day, where I'm working on the same thing, but I'm doing it in a lunge fashion now. But I'm working on catching myself at that low point, and I got the weights down there. So that's typical of jumping off something and stopping. So now I'm working on so like I said, yes, this is it's nothing new in a sense. It's just, oh, I jumped off of something, I want to stop and catch myself. Okay, this is that moving right there. Or I went, okay, this is that moving right there. Or this is that moving right there, So in that sense, yes, it's still variable, but it's not based on, let me make up something. It's based on, oh, I did this over here. And it was funny, the other day I was on my friend's boat, and as soon as I jumped off the thing, I was like, oh, you just messed up. I knew it. As soon as I jumped off, I was like, oh, you just messed up. And so instead of, once again, because I'm on this boat, and like the boat environment is new, and I'm worried about falling and tripping, and I should have just jumped like I was in a regular environment, and everything. But because boats are moving, so they kind of trick you because they it's like that's why when people talk about landing a plane on a boat, it ain't easy because the shit moving. So same thing when you jump, the boat move left. Well, that's even what the spot you're looking at moved left. The
Yeah.
floor is still there, but it moved left, and now your brain's thinking like the shit just moved on me, and then it moved back the other way. Then it did something else. So it's a different environment. So I wasn't used to it. So I said, oh, but as soon as I did, like, yeah, you just messed up. And when I hit, I was like, yeah, you should have just went with it. You should.
Yeah, but you don't know until you're that in that environment. And again, like it kind of ties us back to just play your sport. Like
Yeah,
people train so hard or feel like they need to be hitting all these benchmarks in order to then go do the thing they want to do.
yeah,
And it was something like recovering from my Achilles ruptures. Like as soon as I felt like I could handle the load of my shin coming forward, my foot coming up
right,
with it, and just okay. And that took a while, right? And that's there's a ton of
right,
baby steps that go into that. But as soon as I could do that, and I could like semi jog or at least walk kind of fast, I'm out on the basketball court, and
yeah,
I'm just allowing myself now to kind of react, and I can trust my body's signals on like what is beyond my capacity or like where hesitation or
right.
whatever. And that I think is maybe the skill that people don't have is kind of that inherent ability to know this would be too much, but I can still expose myself in a kind of controlled version of this.
Right, right. Because well, everybody's taught to you can, increase capacity, tissue tolerance. No, no, stop all that. Stop all that. The reason I say that is this here. Just like when I saw you post your video, and I said, and you like people, no. And so I went out, like I said. And so it's one of those things where that's the beauty of being on the basketball court, where I think the ball bounced to the right and I got it. And I'm used to driving from the right. My brain flashed back to being 25, and I had to quickly come back to being 60. It wasn't gonna go well. You know what I'm saying? I had to come back really fast. No, dude. And I looked at the videos, like you said, I'm barely jumping off the ground because that's where I am now. I'm not trying to explode to the hole and all that kind of stuff. That's like somebody asked me, can you dunk? I don't want to dunk. There's no reason for me to dunk. I have no person to be dunking at the age of 60. No.
Yeah, but that's a very like kind of ridiculous or like a big example. But so many people, even if it was they were injured a year ago, they'll flash back to what they could do or what they
Right.
used to be able to do, and just like overload. It's kind of like it becomes this is a little bit in the weeds, but like they're predictive. They're predicting what they should be able to do, not based off of where they are currently. So they're
Right.
just like a weird timing in the way that they're perceiving their options essentially.
So
Uh,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
a lot
No,
of that is like being present, right?
yeah, but that's not in the weeds because I'm walking with my daughter, and she's not walking very fast, but shit, she's walking faster than me.
Mhm.
I'm stronger than her, but here she is walking faster than me. And then my mom was on a walk the other day. She had like a half a block on me. I caught her before she got to the end of the block. you know?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at my daughter, I'm thinking like, why is she walking so much faster? Because she has that. You don't, like I said, to be young, you have a different qualities in you that make you do these things. When you get older, you lose these qualities. So no, people need to accept. They need to really accept this is where you are today. That's cool. That's cool, you know. And so, which is why even like when I stopped doing track, I remember I was doing master's track, and I stopped doing it because to me it's like I didn't want to be that person. It's like I'm used to running this fast. So being happy, beating people at this speed, it ain't no good. And then I think about the people I competed against. If they were still competing, they would still beat me. So I haven't gained anything. You know what I'm saying? If I had to race Carl Lewis today, he would still beat me. If I had to race Ben Johnson today, he would still beat me. So I haven't gained anything. If I had to race them people today at this age, they would still beat me. Willie Gault would still beat me. Willie Banks would still beat me in the triple jump. You know what I'm saying? I haven't gained anything. So I didn't want to live. I didn't, like I said, my reality is back then those guys would beat me and then today would beat me.
Right.
Me beating people today that I would have beat back then don't do anything for me.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because it seems like, okay, this is a healthy thing to want to pursue something like master's track. And I think it's kind of interesting. There's probably people who do track for the first time in their
Yeah.
like 40s or 50s, and that's interesting to like really not have done that as you're young and then go into it. Really the case for anything. But when because track was like your main sport, right? That's the
Right,
thing.
right.
So you would have had, and I think I've heard this from a lot of people actually. Whatever their main sport was when they were young, especially if they were like actually pretty successful with it, kind of the whole like reason to keep doing it just fades at a certain point because a lot of it is that
Yeah,
competition and being like, where do I stand up relative to this? Like, there's a
right,
little bit, of course, like you versus yourself or just trying to improve yourself, but it really is
right.
how do I find the edge on somebody else? And yeah, for you, that competitive fire just died
Yeah,
out.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Which is
yeah.
again probably healthy. I feel like that competitive fire, even in the midst of like a non-professional setting, can be part of the reason people end up messing themselves up because again they're like they want to do the thing that will make them win, uh,
Right.
even though they might lose over the next 9 months because they juice people out there.
So yeah, well, I think once again, the whole thing is we take you can lift weights forever. So I think people kind of mix it up too. You can lift weights forever, get stronger, 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 stronger forever. But there's other stuff outside the gym you can't do forever. Not at the same levels. Like I said, you know, I could if I trained, I could easily get back to deadlifting 500 pounds easily,
Yeah.
easily. I'm never going to train get back to around 10, 3, and 100. Never, never.
Yeah.
Those are and I think that's what people mix up. They think that yeah, you can lift forever, you can bench press, you can do all that stuff forever. But this other stuff ain't happening.
Yeah, people want it, and like I want it. I want to be able to play basketball competitively till I'm like 50, 60 or whatever, and like feel
Yeah,
good doing it. And at least that's how I feel about it now. That's
right.
a big change. And yeah, it's like a noble thing. I think you're probably going to, as long as you don't get caught up like wasting your life trying to prepare for your 60s and 70s, like
Well,
you probably get some good out of it. Although I think there's probably some of
well,
that happening, right?
well, it's even like I remember I started playing paddle tennis. I started playing paddle tennis. And I remember uh, it was funny because when I played these folks, and like I said, I'm playing people my age, and I played here in the States, and the people in my area, I mean, I was killing them. I hadn't lost. And they looking at me like, have you played before? No, this is my first time playing. But I was athletic enough, still fast enough, still like, and the pickleball moves slow. The ball moves slow. So I'm fast enough, still and athletic enough, still. Oh, I see the spin on the ball, so I know what's going to happen, and everything. So it was kind of easy. And then I went to Hawaii and played. And it's like, I'm thinking like, I'm about to crush these fools over here, right? I'm from California, we play pickleball. I played with some real retirees who this is all they do. The other folks I was playing with still got jobs. So they don't, when I was in California, them folks still got jobs and stuff like that. Like, we got to go do some other stuff. These folks, they play. And I'm thinking like, yo, it was a different type, you know. And so now I'm really like playing. Now, you know, I think I lost three in a row. Man. So I go home, you know, I'm out in Hawaii for like 10 days, you know, and I've been studying. They telling me stuff, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. So I'll go back the next day because one guy said, hey, play with two hands on the paddle. Okay, cool. Whack. Okay, bang. Okay, got it, you know. And that was the funny part was once again, you know, being athletic gave me a shortcut to being better, you know, because the court is small, you know, and the kitchen thing was cracking me up because because I'm still, like I said, I'm still good enough, explosive enough that I can stay in the kitchen, like, because I didn't understand. So they say, no, play here. Because I'm like, oh, because you cut down the distance. And then all of a sudden, and because they said, but you gotta let it bounce first. You know, if it's the first time across, you gotta let it bounce one time. After that, you can smash it. Once I let it bounce, hit it back, I go straight to the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wish they try to lob it. Oh no, I got this one. Bow, you know. So, but once again, you know, I'm playing with people that are not hitting the ball very, you know, they're not hitting the ball very hard. If I play with somebody a little bit younger, a little bit faster, they can hit the ball a little bit harder. It's gonna come in a little. I can't do the same thing, you know. And so, but once again, you know, it becomes part of that process of understanding these are my limits, you know. And so I think I played in the best, and I left, and I wasn't hurt, wasn't I'm playing in Crocs. They look at me like, you're gonna hurt yourself, you're gonna sprain your ankle. Nah, no, I'm not. No, because I already got, because the body already, like, you don't have shoes on, the body put a limit on me. And I think that's what we forget too, like you said earlier. I think what we forget is that the body's gonna put limits on you. Don't override those limits. Don't override your range. Don't override your capacity. Don't override it. It's there for a reason to help you.
Yeah. And often when you work within it, and you, especially when you start easy, like, you'll warm up, you'll
Yeah.
probably actually expand that capacity over time, probably faster
Right.
than if you try to override it and just keep getting knocked back.
Right. And I was kind of glad when I left. I'm kind of glad that I did play because I didn't take shoes with me. And I'm kind of glad I didn't take tennis shoes because then the competitive nature would have kicked in. I'd have been leaping over the net, doing backflips and some other, you know.
It's true. A good pair of shoes, like, you can feel twice as athletic.
Yeah,
It's kind
yeah.
of kind of crazy.
They can trick you really fast and doing some things you shouldn't be doing. You know, it's like, yeah, you shouldn't have did that. You know. So, but I think once again, you know, I think, like I said, a lot of this is just for me because I'm okay with what I did athletic wise, and I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm not trying to override my capacity. I'm okay, you know. And I think a lot of people are trying to override the capacity because they think that I'm gonna be this, you know, even like nothing against like the Apex people, nothing against them, you know. And so when they came out with their stuff, you know, you go, okay, so what happens once you test the first time? How much better are you really going to get? How much faster your 40 going to get? How much you've been? Like I said, you at in the range. You're going to be there pretty soon. You know, that's just from track and field understanding. Like, look, I know people in track and field that, like I said, hadn't PR'd in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, still training. So there's no difference between that and this. You know, once you run that fast 40 time, how much is it really going to improve? No matter how much you lift, no matter how much you train, how much your vertical, no matter how much, it's not going to improve very much, you know. And then the other part I thought about it too was, you know, like I said, nothing against them. They making money. That's all. They're making money. And it's one of those things where, once again, to me, once again, you know, it's like, if I want to know my 40 time, I'll time myself. If I want to know my vertical, I'll measure it. Whatever I want to do, I will measure it. I don't need the competition to measure anything. You know, that's, and I get it for like combines where you're being performing for somebody else, you know, but I don't get it for this. But once again, hats off to them. They making money. Move on, you know. But for me, you know, and I remember, you know, even being young, because first thing I think is back when I was younger, I didn't need to train for that. I blew them numbers up without training. You know, like, them numbers easy, like fat. I did 40, you know, and yeah, you know, without training, you know. And it's gonna be interesting
You were just doing the thing.
just doing the thing. That's what people don't do. Just do the thing.
Just do it. Yeah.
You don't have to train to do the thing. Do the thing.
Yeah. If you can't do the thing, then there might be little baby steps, and there's like a training. There's things we can do in the gym to help you trust yourself enough to start doing the thing. But once
Right,
you do
right.
the thing, Yeah, you don't need to hit a standard necessarily to do the thing. If you can put all your body weight on one leg, odds are you can do the thing in some capacity.
That's it. Yeah. 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 Well, that's even like at the ranch where we had the low rim, and a lot of people are like, you should put on. No, I don't. No, this is I like the low rim because I can still, like I said, I don't have to put a lot of effort into trying to jump to a 10-foot rim. I can bow. And same thing. If I go play pickleball, go play tennis, this is the explosiveness I need for this height, not for that 10-foot rim height. And I think people forget about it too. What do I need for the thing? What do I really need for the thing? So if this is what you need, train that. You don't need to train beyond that. This is what you need, train that. And even, we see in games, we see like in soccer. How often do those dudes train to jump 10 feet in the air and headbutt a ball?
I mean, they would do it in practice a lot, but are they like what are they doing to train for it? I mean, I'm sure they're on their like heavy ass squats and whatever from the strength and conditioning team, but
Yeah, but I'm saying, when they get out in the game, you don't, I mean, we don't know what the game's going to call for, but those guys are able to do it. So, but
and
like
they
I
can
say,
do it in one of the most. I mean, basketball is up there too, but one of the most random, chaotic potential environments where you jump up, who knows how somebody's going to come into you? Who knows what's going to be underneath you when
right,
you land? Like,
right. Somebody's
can't
trying to
train for
headbutt as you're trying to headbutt, undercut you, all those type of things. So the chaos is there,
that.
you know. So to perform in that type of chaos, because like I said, they don't have to, they're not letting you flip nobody over in practice. This is my star player. You ain't gonna clip him and make him do a 360 in the air. No, we're not having that. So the fact that he's in his environment, he's able to pull it off. That's like, yo. So I think once again you get into these situations and they land on one leg and they land, and it's like, yo, they do things you go, man, that's kind of crazy. The goalies, like, yo, how many do you actually practice doing the splits? Or just it's just I gotta do them now, so this is what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna do the splits like a cheerleader. As I do the splits, I got the ball went up here now. So now I gotta put my hands in the air as I do splits like a cheerleader. Like, how many times you practice that? Where'd you get that capacity from all of a sudden? Tissue talk, where you get it from all of a sudden? So I think people forget about that too. Like in competitive environment, those things are there. Those things are there. But once again, what tends to happen is, we get into situations where we're not competitive, and I think that's when things go wrong. We're in a non-competitive environment, and the safety nets of being competitive aren't there, like the extra adrenaline, the extra, whatever you're doing, testosterone, all the extra stuff isn't there to help you out of this situation all of a sudden. And it's like, uh-oh, you know. So
Yeah, and the chaos, the just you can drill, say, a left hand layup a million times in a bunch of
yeah,
different ways, but you likely aren't going to come across the specific speed or the again
right.
someone you've never met who you're not sure what they're going to do. Like there's so many things. Like I was playing again full court, and I would say my left hand is actually my stronger hand usually with layups.
Yeah,
I feel more comfortable on the left side for whatever reason. And it was like a fast break, and I haven't been on a fast break for 5 years.
right,
And all of a
right,
sudden, I'm like, I do not feel at all comfortable on this left side.
right,
I kind of went up with both hands and like hit the rim
right,
backward at the same time. I'm like, oh,
right.
and now I can go in. I have that context and be like, oh, this showed me like a hole, like
Right,
in my
right,
skill or whatever. Now I can go
right,
at least try to drill it, or I can be like, okay, I have to be better at like going into something like a move or like a takeoff
right.
sequence at full speed and like have the control to be able to execute the touch. But until I was in that competitive scenario again of doing the thing that I would like to be able to do, I wasn't really super aware
Right.
of that, how challenged I would be by that.
Right. And we've seen a lot of that in basketball, football, where the guy is all of a sudden, getting flipped over, and lands on his feet and takes off again. Well, he didn't do that in practice because they didn't let him do that in practice, but he had enough when he hit the ground, and even to know understand which way he was still going. Even to hit the ground, go, oh, I still gotta go this way versus I'd have done that flip, I'd have been lost. I'd have been like, which way am I supposed to be going now? So so we get into these things where these guys in chaos, and I think there's that environment of chaos. What happens when you get into chaos versus with the track world? There's not much chaos in track world.
Right.
There's not much chaos in the tennis world. There's not much chaos, in a lot of other things. But for soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, chaos.
Football.
Yeah, football, swimming, not a whole lot of chaos in swimming.
No.
You know, not you know.
Water
So
polo, maybe. Water polo is pretty chaotic.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's why I call soccer water polo above ground. Because I didn't know you can fight like that until the ball gets there. Like you can
Right.
push the guy, shove the guy, and
Yeah.
everything's happening. The ball comes, oops, can't touch you no more.
Yes, soccer is much more physical than I remembered because I really haven't watched it until the World
Yeah,
Cup
yeah,
came on.
yeah. I
Like
was
you're allowed to do this stuff.
right, right, right. And with all that going on, this we talking about injuries again. How many people do you actually see get hurt of all the matches played?
I
All
saw
the
a lot of people get hurt for about 10 seconds.
Yeah, and get up and move on.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you figure with all that jumping, kicking, running, off movement, I'm gonna fall down on my shoulder. I just headbutted the ball. Somebody just kicked me in my leg. I just rolled over my ankle and moved on.
Darian, clearly it's because of these world class strength and condiing like routines that they're on, right? The reason they are what they are is because of their training.
That mobility, stability, it's like, man, but this is what I keep saying. The nature of the next thing shows you the failure of the previous thing. And what I mean by that is this here. Anytime they come with a new word, like now to try and differentiate them from somebody else, because like I always say, everybody can be a sprint coach. Everybody can be a strength coach. Anybody that don't really not a whole lot of knowledge to it. Really not. So how do we differentiate from the next man? I got to come up with something. So now you see the new word is intent. The intent. Well, what do you mean intent? Are you practicing with intent? Like, what did I come out here for? If I didn't come out with intent in the first place? Are you running with intent? Are you jumping with intent? Are you lifting with intent? So that's the next word. It means something else failed.
Yep.
You didn't get stronger because you didn't have the intent. See, so the lifting program failed. So now we got this other word to come in and say, we're gonna add intent to it now, and that should cover up the failure of the last thing. So that's what I keep saying. And the same thing, anytime a new recovery modality comes out, something failed.
Mm.
Anytime a new something failed because now I need to recover from whatever just failed. Like I said, and that's just me. Like I said, I'm out there playing in Crocs. I played, I think, like 3 days in a row, 2 hours a day, pickleball, which is not my normal thing. No soreness, no fatigue, no strains, no nothing.
Yeah, nothing
You
failed.
know,
No, it wasn't that
nothing.
you needed to then, because of the demands on pickleball, go have you now you need to start the pickleball training program. you know,
Yeah, the pickleball recovery program. Go
I
sit
mean,
in the
hey
sauna
man,
for a minute, ice hot.
you want to make money? There's something to that. I've
So,
thought
but
about
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's even like I saw somebody, once again, Apex folks, more power to them, not against them, but I saw somebody say, hey, I'm going to create a training program for the Apex thing, which is smart.
Yeah,
Make your money if make your money on training people for it. Don't, like I said, people don't hate against them. Just like, how can I make money? They're making money. How can I make money? Oh, let me create an Apex training program. Because there's no special knowledge to training for a 40, a vertical. There's no special knowledge to that. So let me create a program and make my money too.
yeah, yeah.
Just like people did with High Rocks and just like people did with CrossFit, they became, hey, I'm not a CrossFit person, but I'll make my money training people for CrossFit. I'll make my money training people for High Rocks. So make the money. Don't, like I said, people, there's money out there. Go make it. Don't hate on them. Go make money.
Yeah, it's smart, and these events. I do think just in general in the fitness world, anything that is event based is going to do better and better. Just because we don't have
Yeah.
that many opportunities to just like come together around like a common cause or
Right.
whatever.
Right. Right.
Like, it's very smart, and I like that it's we're basing it off like the kinds of skills that we might actually use in sport or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it becomes a little bit of like a business coach selling you a program so that you can then become a business coach to then sell a program. There's a lot of that going on in the world. Which
Yeah. So yeah, but it'd be more things like that. Like I said, and like I said, everything comes out. Remember, Tough Mudder came out. CrossFit came out, then Tough Mudder came out, and then this came out, and then that came out. Even like when X Games came out. We had the X Games, and then we had. So there's always, if there's competition to be had, and that's the beauty of it. I remember, the beauty of the next thing when you can't do something, just like in running. Okay, I can't run a mile fast, but I can run 50 miles pretty good. So I'm gonna do a 50-mile thing. I can't do 50 miles, but I can do 100 miles. So I'm gonna do that thing. I can't do 100 miles, so I'm gonna do 100 miles. So I'm gonna do that thing. So there's always that next thing for somebody to do to try and find a slice, and then when we find out, like with high rocks now, and this is why I predicted, and I continue to predict this, that when the elite distance runners, because the high rocks is just a running thing, when elite distance runners get into high rocks, they're gonna blow it up.
Like it won't even be fair anymore.
It won't be fair. It won't be fair. Because
High rocks.
I can spend all day on the station, then I'm gonna suck you up on the run easily.
Yeah, high rocks is all like timed, right? It's not, you're not like trying to get the highest bench number or whatever. It's all just, can you do this like repetitive task in a fast time?
But you have this task and you have a run. You have this task and you have a run. You have this task and you have a run. So when the elite runners get into that, the task is gonna be easy and they're gonna blow up. Because like I said, I can take my time on this task because I'm gonna smoke you on the run.
Yep.
We seen that in marathons where you seen a guy like, yeah, I'm a slow swimmer, but when I get to this bike portion, I'm gonna kill you. Yeah, I may not be the best biker, but when we get to this run portion, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. But high rocks, like that crowd, the people who like came from CrossFit or whatever, almost none of them are runners. They're all like, right. And they're most likely, I mean, they're still going to run. They're going to train that aspect of it, but so much of the focus and the fun for them is like the task. It's the
right
up on the wall or whatever. Like that's what people are like excited to do. The running is just like the annoying thing we have to do in between.
Right.
But yeah, right. When the real rubbers come out and decide they want to dominate.
Yeah. And that's gonna be the same thing for Apex. When the widow guys come out, like I said, they're gonna blow the 40, they're gonna blow the vertical, they're gonna blow the standing broad jump, and they're gonna blow the mile. It's easy. I mean, that's like when I was in Colorado. When I was a college athlete, as a scholarship athlete, we had to run 2-mile time trial. You had to be there in under 11 minutes. We no ifs, ands, buts about it. We had to run 2 miles in 11. You had to be under 11 minutes. If you was a scholarship athlete. And you got to think about that. Whether, and I'm a jumper, but all of a sudden I got to run 2 miles and it's another story too that's funny. I'm at this summer camp one day working with kids, and the New York Giants strength coach comes out, and they was talking about, they test their guys on running 200s. They have to run so many of them in 26 seconds. Now, once again, me and my friends there, we both go to the University of Colorado. He's a quarter miler. I'm a jumper. And we're like, 26 seconds, that's it. Shit, we do 22 for lunch. Like we do 22 and 23 for lunch.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's a 45, 46-second quarter miler. So he said, okay, we'll do it, And so we run the first one, 26. We pacing, both of us. So it's easy. We pacing each other. We get to about 3 of them. The guy says, yeah, you guys are good at this. Don't worry. I said, can we get a contract? If that's all, can I get a contract now?
Right.
So that's what's funny. When real runners come out to stuff like this, they're gonna blow it up. It's just I mean, you can express, if you're fast, you're gonna express numbers in weightlifting because you're fast. Mm-hmm. So I think they're gonna run to the same problem when the real runners come out. Job is gonna be easy. This is gonna be easy. That's gonna be easy. Easy stuff. So yeah. But once again, it's one of those things where we have something for everybody. And Apex is another thing, something for everybody, and anybody can go out and do an Apex thing. Anybody, just like CrossFit. Anybody go out and do it. Anybody. So these are anybody's competition, which once again is fine. You don't need a team. You don't need just go out and do it. So I'm always, it's like when CrossFit first came out, people like, CrossFit gonna get people hurt. I'm like, they got people off the couch. So once again, Apex getting people off the couch, getting people out there. Don't hate on them. Applaud them. They got people to do some things.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wanted to ask with like coming out of track, or like when you stop being super competitive with track, or even I guess like in the midst of training for track, even were you training with longevity in mind? Was that ever like something on your radar? You're like, I want to be able to do this for a long time, so I want to make sure I do it the most efficiently as possible, or were you always essentially chasing speed?
You're chasing what it takes to win. And the whole problem is that's the unknown. You don't know what it takes, So you so better I mean, because we know, for instance, with some things we do know. But as a triple jumper or a long jumper, I go into a competition and you go, okay, I remember I was at this competition, Mount Sac one time. And so I was in the invite, triple jump, invite, long jump, and it was kind of like stacked, and I couldn't do both of them. So I asked the guy if I can drop out of one, and he says, "You're going to murder these guys in the other one." And I don't know, because I don't know. These guys may jump well that day. I don't know what's going to take to win that day. I just know I can't do both of these. Just the
Hmm.
way they stacked up. That ain't. I didn't train for something like that. So so that became the thing. But in my instance too, I'm fortunate enough that I don't have I didn't have to have knee surgery, hip surgery. I don't have I know a lot of guys that had replacement knees, replacement hips. They jacked up. So I didn't have that. But I was always chasing like, what does it take to win? And
Hmm.
that was always the unknown. And even like you look at today's track and field, with Usain Bolt. If you're going to be Usain Bolt at his prime, you have to run faster than 9.72. You had to be in the 9.69 range. You had to be so you knew that I got to be faster than this. And that's a hard part. How do you train to be faster than this? Versus I need to run 10 seconds. I know what it takes to run 10 seconds. I need to jump 54 feet. I know what it takes to jump 54 feet.
Hmm.
But you show up a day like John Edwards that day, he jumped 60 feet. Well, I didn't train for this shit. I didn't think it was gonna take 60 feet to win this today. What would have gave me the idea I would need 60 feet to win today?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you realize, okay, this is the potential I might need to hit 60 to win or whatever. Then I guess what's your thought process, or like, well, how did you then, okay, there's a mark that I cannot hit right now that I want to be able to hit because I want to be able to win. Like, where did your head go in those moments?
It goes to nowhere because, like I said, you go, okay, this is what I've done so far, and this is what has got me so far.
Hmm.
So that unknown is always the hard part. This is what I've done. This is what I know. I don't know that. So I don't. So now you hoping that this works.
Hmm.
You're hoping that works. You're hoping the weightlifting is going to work. You're hoping, that you're hoping because you don't know. And that's why I say a lot of times with a lot of these things where they get the even get the data. And that's why I keep telling them, tell me the data it takes to do this. For instance, people talk about RSI number. Okay, fine. If I lower my RS number by zero point 0.3, how much faster is that going to make me? If I increase my squat by 100 pounds, how much faster is that going to make me? How is that? Tell me those numbers. I'll gladly do it. But that's what we don't know.
Yeah, because it's not that clear cut. Yeah, I'd be
It's not
interested to
that.
see
Yeah,
what,
yeah, yeah,
like on a even just like a broad jump, you get, you know 20 people to increase their squat by 100 pounds. What kind of range do we see in the results?
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, with a 10-foot rim, we know that's a 10-foot rim. Okay, cool. But that's not a winning thing. That's just accomplished thing.
Yeah.
You know, I want to get my vertical to 36 inches. Okay, we're just gonna work hard, keep jumping, keep jumping. Cool, 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 cool. But like I said, when you get into a competitive environment, unknowns, that's a whole different ball game because it's the unknown. And that's why I keep cracking up about too, where people say, we're gonna do this. Well, just like I'm gonna, I think they have the data now and the shapes now. They say this is the shape of somebody running 10 seconds. What if I need to run 9.9? What's the shape of that? If I need to run 9.7, what's the shape of that? And the world record is 9.58. What's the data for 9.58? What's the data to long jump 30 feet? What's the data to triple jump 60 feet? Where is it at?
Well, and specifically for like whose proportions, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Even, just like to jump 25 feet in the long jump. If you run 11 second 100 meters, that's enough speed to jump 25 feet in the long jump. So we know stuff like that. To at least get you to jump 25 feet, I need you to run 11 seconds. That I know.
Yep.
Now, after that,
Yeah, that we don't.
because we got Mike Powell. Carl Lewis way faster than Mike Powell, but Mike Powell jumped further than Carl Lewis.
Mhm.
But we know what? Mike Powell need to run way faster than 11 seconds to jump. But how much faster? We don't know. So that's when you just putting it out there now. I mean, like one of the things I used to do, we used to do three steps. Three-step jumps was the measurement of getting better in 9-step or 6-step triple jump. And so, or 9-step. So 9-step triple jump was how it measured. So at one point in time, when I was jumping, 25 feet in the long jump, I could 3-step 22 feet. So 1, 2, 3, 22 feet. Not a bigger 1, 2, 3. You know, but you understand that wasn't power. That was how I had to go fast. I couldn't try to muscle 23 feet from 3 steps. I had to get going.
Yeah.
Same thing, triple jump. I had to get going. And so a triple jump, I got out to 50, 51 feet from a 9-step approach, you know? So those are kind of some of the things we would do to say, as testing. We didn't know, but can we increase our 9-step jump? Can we increase our 3-step jump? Can we increase those things? Would give us a better indication of, but still, it's still unknown.
Was part of your I don't know, kind of like embracing the unknown, like film study? And is that kind of where, you're seeing people who are doing the thing that you want to be able to do? Is that where a lot of your understanding of kind of the sequences of like joint motion was a lot of that just from watching kind of the best in the world do it?
Yeah. Because just like when I learned how to triple jump, people talk about being stiff, and then you see the best, and they're like, them guys ain't stiff. They buckling and giving.
Yeah.
You know, and so you see it, but I didn't know how to train to buckle because I trained to be stiff.
Mhm.
So I would have needed somebody to come and say, hey, this is how we train to buckle. This is how we train to get through this, da 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 da. And that's why I tell people now. To me, that's an ISO. And so if you want to get out of ISO, you're stuck in an ISO. If I want to get out of ISO, I need the rotation. you know, and so, but that's just later knowledge now. So that's where, because I've been having these problems. Like, okay, how do I get out of this thing? And that's what you said. That's why I showed the one video of these guys. They yawing out of. They're not coming over. They're not pitching over the top. They're stuck. The pitches is ISO. They're stuck. So you see them yaw this way and yaw that way to get out of this ISO they're in. But I didn't have the information back then. And if I had saw it, I wouldn't have understood it because inversion, eversion, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to go lateral. You're supposed to go. So I had a lot of information that was coming at me that was limiting to even try to get to the unknown.
Right. Yeah. Was there a breaking point with that where you're just like, man, I got to stop listening to all this?
Well, yeah, like I said, my breaking point was when I like I said, at 39 I could dunk, 40 I couldn't. And then I think I went to a track meet and I ran like a 12.45 and 100 meters. I'm like, 12? I don't run 12. I mean, I'm thinking like, oh, 12? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So that was my first time, and I think I was like 40. And I said, okay, let me come back and do this, And so when I first came back, I did the hurdle hops, I did the weightlifting, I did da da da, I did all the plyos, everything, da 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 da, and got hurt. Wasn't getting much better. And then I said, okay, I got to figure out something else. So I started doing other stuff. That's when I started really looking at and really understanding things, looking at film and understanding like, okay then. And then going out and try it step by step. And then by the time I turned 42, it took me 2 years. By the time I turned 42, I ran 10.9 again. But it took 2 years of breaking habits.
Yeah, makes sense.
Breaking habits.
Did you get temporarily slower in that process?
No. I was, that's why I was in the inventing stage. I was making gloves that had weights on them, and I was running, and it was like, oh, this is how this works, So I was in an inventing stage. So I would have to go out and try the products, and that's how I would test them in races, And so I had insoles. I would put them on. I go test them in races. I would go test stuff, and that's how I learned throughout the process. Oh, this is what this did. So I take that off. Okay, I still got to do this. Oh, this is what this did. So I take it off. Okay, I still got to go do that. So I was learning the process of inventing these products. It was helping me because I had to go use them.
Yeah.
I just didn't invent a product and back this works. No, I had to actually go try it out and go, oh, that's how that works. And then go, okay, got it.
Yeah. I guess if you had like kind of the knowledge set that you have now and you apply it to like 20-year-old Adarian or whatever, were there specific things that you would be like, if I had known that I was messing up by doing this thing, that I could have like saved myself a bunch of time and like helped a lot? Are the things that like you would essentially train yourself back in the day with now?
I'd have quit. I'd have quit back then. Because part of it is too. I remember, because like I tell a lot of people, once you see these guys, like once you see like Andre Kaysen up close. I leave a real up close, the Carlos up close. Once you see them up close, you go, damn, they built different too. They're not, it's just not, but they built different. Right. And then once you, it was this kid, John Starworth, local kid out of our area. I remember racing him in a race. And this guy at 18 years old, like he was good. At 18, he made the Pan American team for the long jump. At 18, this guy's a 27, 28-foot long jumper. This guy is a 10-200 meter guy, 18. So you see kids like that. And then I also remember, like, I'm with Kenny Harrison. Kenny Harrison we're in the same class, And And I'm seeing him like, how he run 20 point in the 200 and I only running like 21 seconds, you know? Like you start to see these guys are just different. And I'm never going to beat them, no matter how hard I was going to try. So if I had the knowledge, I would have quit because I'm like, you know, when you race Andre Kaysen, and I was on TV, and we was running third, he ran third leg, and I ran third leg. And he blew by me so fast, thinking like, where the fuck he going? Like, where is he going? Like once you see these things, had I known, I was never gonna beat them dudes. So I'd have quit.
Yeah. I like to think that you would have, or I would, in the same situation, like have this like nonsense idea of the world that like, oh, if I do the right things, I can get there, I can like hold my own. And it's just like, I'm not going to hold up in the NBA at 5'11", you know.
Yeah,
I'd like to think so, you know. And you have your like Steph Currys of the world that like in a context like that, you can get so good at a certain skill that it can kind of make sense.
yeah.
With track, there's just none.
Yeah, but even that, I think if you stood next to Curry, you know, like I said, we was at the state track meet. I was at the state track meet, and you remember that movie, the Showtime? Remember Showtime? That came out on HBO about the Lakers and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Remember the guy that played Cap? He played Kareem. He played. They called him, but he played Kareem in this movie, right?
Yep.
Well, he's at the meet.
Yeah.
You know, and I see them like, damn, that dude is big. Like this dude is big. So once again,
it don't matter.
it don't matter.
It don't matter. You think you would have then, track's not for you, just like the top of the top is too good, you can't get there. Do you think you do something instead where you still be chasing like?
I think I probably would have got into like maybe soccer or tennis or lacrosse. I'd have gotten into something else. I would have gotten to something else for sure. Maybe even golf. I don't know, but I would have gotten to something else. And that's the thing, as you get young, when you're young, you really don't know what's all really available to you, based on what's available in your local area. Maybe even play rugby. Maybe I would play rugby instead of playing football because I wasn't a football guy. But if I had gotten to rugby, I could have done. So I think I would have played something else. I still was going to be an athlete. I still gonna be competitive, but I'd have found something else to do because I'm looking at these dudes like, nah, y'all built different. Y'all, and even like I said, I remember we had the Big Eight back when before it became the Big 12, Big Eight outdoor championships. And I remember I opened up at 52.3 in the triple jump, thinking like, yeah. And then Kenny Harrison jumped like, 52. So I'm thinking like, I'm about to get him today. Next jump, this dude jumped 56 feet. Yeah. And he was sitting there, and then he went and sat and stand with his coach. I was like, what the heck? I'm like, what just happened? What just happened?
Yeah.
So on his bad day is my best day.
Right.
I'm not built like that.
That's funny, man. So it's interesting that it's like for you, and you're still kind of like you found like pickleball or I forget what paddle tennis. You're still kind of chasing that like athletic success. Would you say that's like that's a lot of what drives you to still like be in the gym, to like care about like training yourself for this kind of stuff, or has that shifted at all?
I still want to be competitive at something.
Sure. I
still want to be competitive at something, but I don't want to make it a lopsided competitiveness. I still want to be, like I said, I remember playing tennis one time against this old dude. And I got a pretty good serve, and so like I said, my tennis knowledge is okay, but it's not up there. And so I'm thinking like I'm gonna hit the ball and smoke this ball by him, right? But what did he do? He just put out his tennis racket and it come right back to me, And so he wasn't moving. So but he hit it and comes soft, and I got to run up to the net to get it. Then he lobbed it over my head. I go back and run it again, and then he hit it. And then the only reason I got him because he hit this one ball. Man, I had to get on my horse. I was on my horse. Yeah. And I got it and hit it back to him. Boom. And it goes by him. He goes, I didn't think he was going to get that one.
Right. Yeah. It's a good feeling, though.
So yeah. And that's like, once I know the rules about something, that's like even like with pickleball. With pickleball, it's funny because once they told me, say, hey, if the ball's going off the court, you don't have to hit it back over the net. As long as you hit it lower than the net and it gets back on the other side, it's good. Bet. So that becomes a challenge now when somebody so now I become competitive because like you may have a little bit you have more skill than me and about to place the shots, but I got the ability to get to that shot. I can get it back to places you don't think I'm going to get it to. So that's why I still kind of like about, like I said, just it's not the fact that I want to win. It's the fact that I want to put myself in a chaotic situation and can I rise up to the occasion still?
Yeah. And like the side benefit of that is that when you're walking around doing your day-to-day stuff, you're not thinking twice about getting up or like getting out of bed. Like, people in their 60s start to
Right.
become essentially very fragile and very like uncertain about even just like going up the stairs.
Right. Well, I think part of it too is even like I just put the video up about the Achilles, and I think that I'm very aware of that, but I'm also very aware, like, hey man, do what you always been doing. Bend your knees. Always make sure you bend your knees when you hit the ground. Just kind of, if you hit the ground, bend your knees.
So simple. So
so,
simple.
so simple. Just bend your knees, So even if I step back to hit a shot, I bend my knee.
Yeah.
There's always on my mind, bend your knee. Because I'm very aware that, don't take much to rupture your Achilles. And usually it comes from this here, But now it's like, make sure, man, whatever you do, bend your knees. Bend your knees.
It's the thing that I'm like almost constantly reminding people or reminding my clients that like just everyone is programmed to go up, to try to fight gravity, because that's
right.
where their best presentation of themselves or whatever they think of as like the long leg look that they want. Or just like the idea of power. We're talking about like the range of a joint, and people just don't allow themselves to fold. It's because they think from wherever they're already locked out and they are searching for more power from that versus actually like allowing themselves to yield into a position where now they have more range available to them. But like it's a constant, and it's kind of crazy that such a simple thing as bending the knee is something.
Bending it,
especially but also, I was gonna say going upstairs. Like I have a client who like doing the Stairmaster or whatever, and every step the tibia just wants to come back. Every step, and I get on there, and I'm just like I'm literally trying to like put my knee or my shin on the next step as it goes, and I get to fly up this thing, right? It feels like a and then he's got his arms on there and he's like kicking his straightening his leg, and I'll tell him and he'll kind of get it for a second, but it's just like it's been patterned so deep that it's going to take a while for that to really
bend the knees. So but and that's part of the process, is just having seen, like we've seen, look at video after video after video, you see the commonality is what? Straight knee. Step back with a straight knee. The Achilles will pop, And then people say, when people say, I'm going to load it, no, you're not. Because if you load it with a straight knee, it's going to pop, And that's why when I see people, once again, giving walking instructions, they say, keep your heel down. Let your leg straighten out. No, let the knee bend. We got joints for a reason, people. We got joints for a reason. Let the ranges work for us. Stay in your range and all that kind of stuff. That's like people have balance problems on a straight leg, but you don't have a balance problem on a bent knee. And most of the time you're gonna be what? On a bent leg. So guess what? You don't have a balance problem. You can pick up flexibility, range, and everything if people just bend. Just bend.
Yeah. It's harmonizing with gravity is how I think about it, and there's just so much easy power, just like it's free energy when you
right.
That's just that's the crux of like people don't chase easier in their movements, they always chase harder, and that's a tough mindset to get people out of.
So well, I mean, I even learned that working with elite level athletes, where you show them something, I didn't do enough today, coach. Yeah, we did enough. No, I didn't. And they're gonna do another workout. Because that's what they've been trained to do. Grind away. You gotta sweat. You gotta throw up. You gotta be shaking afterwards, and all this other kind of stuff. No. You're fine. So yeah. But that's always. But people have been trained that way. Just like we have some weightlifting equipment coming out. And so how we gonna position it is in the recovery side, because the equipment we have coming out is not meant for you to squat, 600 pounds on. And so we already know we're gonna run into resistance about, no, this is not meant for you to be heavy. It's not about effort. It's about making things easier. And so, but it's funny, we talk about the word effortless, but then we make things as hard as possible in the same breath. They made it look so effortless. And then let's just make this hard. And then they say train smarter, not harder. And then we make it harder.
Yeah. It's not like effortlessness. There's always some effort, but just like
Yes.
people go to 100% effort and they haven't realized how to use 5 to 10 to 15% and do that really well. It actually, that's something, the art of just like singing, like I do some like vocal lessons type
Right.
of stuff, and that's where you would think, okay, I need to make a big note, or I want to like come across well, and I would need to push. Like that's
Yeah.
it's the same thing people do with their legs into the ground. It's people do it into their voices.
Yeah.
In reality, it takes so much less than you think it does when you
Yeah.
allow kind of when you get out of your way, and when there's a sequencing to it. There's a sequence to that, the same way there's
Right.
a sequence to a step. But there has to be some effort. You can't just be a fucking noodle, but like,
Yeah.
so much less than you think it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think too, I mean, one of the things that, we're coming out with, like I said, we came out with the dyad. And then one of the cool things about dyad is it's always paired with something. It's 50-50. It's this or that. There's no, and so
DYAD, right?
yeah. And all it means is it's integrating the pair. And so that's why we think the body is a dyad, because you have left half and right half. The pair's been integrated. Same thing with the brain's been integrated. Left eye, right eye, they've been integrated. So you have all these things going on. But then you can, in movement, up and down is a pair. Left to right is a pair. Vertical, horizontal is a pair. So how do I combine these? And we're running, what do I want? I want to combine vertical and horizontal. I want to combine these two pairs. But a lot of times in sports, we want to make them conflict. It's the vertical or the horizontal. It's the stride length or the frequency. No, how can I pair these up and make this work? And so that's been one of the fun things that we've been getting into. And so even with that there, same thing. How can I be tense and relaxed at the same time? How can I accelerate, decelerate at the same time? How can I pair these things up instead of making one or the other?
Yeah. I mean, tough thing to market because it just like people want one or the other. It's just like,
yeah, people want, yeah.
Or if I get better full relaxation or whatever it is, I gotta do them both at the same time. Like what?
Yeah. But that's been the beauty of it, But that's where the performance is.
Yeah.
Because I want to be, just like somebody's talking about stiff ankles, and I forgot who it was, but they put I put it up. I put it someplace, but they show Usain Bolt and his leg, the ankle's just going and flopping as he runs, and they said, "You want to train to have a stiff ankle? What are you talking about?" And then they show the guy, like that. That thing is flopping around like a joystick. Yeah. So how do you see a video of an ankle flopping around like a joystick and they say, "I want a stiff ankle," like this guy here? Like, no, that ain't. Yeah.
That ain't it. Cool, man. Well, thanks for doing this. There's so much more we could talk on, and I'd love to. We'll have to do this again and get a little deeper into the Achilles and whatnot, because there's a lot of just great information and things that have helped me in my rehab that'd be cool to share. But yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
So, yeah.
Well, memory lane a little bit.
Well, what's funny is femur. It's a start. Femur is to start understanding the Achilles. Yeah. Really, that's really the start. If you want to really understand the Achilles, because the femur and the Achilles is kind of linked together. So to really understand it is start with the femur and you work your way back down and you go, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, I mean the calf, the tendon literally attaches to the femur. Like, the femur goes, what do you think is going to happen with the tendon? Yeah, and I get there's like the soleus. I could argue the soleus is attached to the tibia, and I want to make sure I get that maximum push. I mean that was like the reason my second the second rupture I had a better understanding of what I needed to do for rehab was that I just stopped chasing that massive calf raise. Like it's tough because it's the thing that you feel like you're missing right away. You just like you cannot, like you used to be able to just fly up, your heel could fly up easy, and now it's like stuck. So you're like, I got to get this back. I got to get this back. But so much of what you do when you run around, even in jumping, that in a nutshell, that the soleus trying to yank up on the heel, it's just not involved. Or it's just that is not the thing that is lifting you off the ground or pushing you forward. So when I let go of that, and I just more so trained it in the kinds of positions and in the movement transitions that I was actually needing, just a much cleaner experience overall than the first time where I'm like, got to get this calf strong. And so we'll get more into it next time.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for the chat.
Of course, man. I'll talk to you soon. All right.
Okay. Bye.
Later.